Yeah, I made a t-shirt, which I'm now going to be wearing the fuck out of because I'm fucking proud of it. And you can too, links in the description. I don't even need to sell this shirt, it sells itself. But if you did want something cheaper, since many of you were enlightened by my last video, by high request, here is your Anime's Trash and So Am I shirt. For those of us who have accepted the trash that we really are. Because you know what else is trash? Attack on Titan. Sorry, I couldn't resist. You know, at first, I wasn't such a big fan of this opening, but after listening to it for about 10 times now, I can say, whoa! Fucking Jesus Christ! So with the second season of Attack on Titan almost said and done now, regardless of how it wraps up in these coming weeks, I've actually enjoyed it a considerable amount, even more so than the first season. So it comes as a little surprise to me that, no one's really talking about it. Where the fuck was Levi this season? Alright, it's not really that no one's talking about it. View counts are higher than pretty much every other show this season, so obviously people are watching it. But the overall spread and attention it's getting is but a speck to what it was in the first season. There's a clear acknowledgement that it's out, but no real excitement or hype surrounding it. And it says volumes that this has been a far more common conversation for me this season. So are you enjoying Attack on Titan after waiting these 4 years? Yeah, I mean, it's cool. More importantly, have you heard about our new Lord and Savior, Eromanga Sensei? I see you too have reached enlightenment. Yes, shows like Eromanga Sensei and Boku no Hero Tournament arc hype have been taking up all the discussions, memes, and general attention within the anime community, which, we're not denying the true masterpiece that is Eromanga Sensei, is certainly surprising considering the rare worldwide phenomenon the first season was in the world of anime. What happened? Is the second season just a shadow of what came before? Can hype for one of the hottest anime ever die out that quickly? Or is Eromanga Sensei really that good? Now, I have no doubt that many will have found this season underwhelming with its shift in tone and focus, but it's for that reason I've actually enjoyed it more. It's no longer the action-packed bombastic thrill ride of season 1, but it's introduced this mystery horror element with much more of a focus on building up side characters that moves at a slower pace, which in my opinion kind of addressed some of the problems I had in the first season. Attack on Titan season 1 was always a thrilling and enjoyable, but ultimately kind of empty ride. It thrived on its interesting premise, explosive direction, constant twists and turns, and one of the strongest starts I can think of in anime. But after the series ended, everything felt a bit hollow. It didn't feel like we got much actual progression after the first few episodes due to the slowdown in pacing. Titans went from scary to stupidly funny, and no characters, especially the main trio, were particularly well developed or engaging. We'd mourn the loss of characters not because we were attached to them, but because they were useful to humanity or had some cute quirk in some way, which, while shocking when they happened, ultimately didn't mean anything. It was a show that was exciting because of its shock factor, but as that wore off, it ceased being that special. What this new season has done in my eyes is stop trying to make Titan this thrilling but empty ride. It started off by stamping its mark with the most gut-wrenching death sequence the series had seen so far, reminding us that Titans are indeed terrifying, even if the designs can still walk the fine line between unsettling and stupidly hilarious because yeah. Instead of all-out action, there are quiet scenes of genuine tension and horror, which grounds the threat that the Titans pose, something that hasn't been felt since the very beginning of the franchise, which I feel tied in well with the whole mystery aspect of this season. More information about the world is revealed to us at a slow pace that keeps us guessing. It's an entirely new element that builds off the foundation of the previous season cliffhanger, making us question the nature of the world they're in and keeping us in a guessing game about who is and isn't a Titan, even though everyone's a fucking Titan. This mystery aspect gave me much more of an interest in the world that they've built that wasn't just a continual reminder that we need to go to Eren's all-important pawn dungeon. Then we get to the character focus, which was a pleasant surprise, especially with Eren, who, knowing he was one of the less interesting characters in the cast, was given this revolutionary and innovative character development technique of removing him entirely from the first half of the season. I know, right? Fucking revolutionary writing technique that we should definitely use more often. We get more of a feel for side characters, their motivation and history, which I appreciated because now I can actually be a bit more invested in what happens in them instead of killing characters for the sake of shock factor that we've seen before. Now, if there was a glaring problem, it's the fact that they had to do this with about 20 fucking flashbacks every episode. Seriously, there would be scenes in the show that were like, oh god, we're surrounded by Titans, we're all gonna die! Yeah. But do you remember that time at Titan Camp when you were being a total stubborn bitch, Krista? What the fuck has that got to do with anything? Yes, we had several episodes where half the damn episode was a flashback, but hey, it worked for Lost, right? So why shouldn't it work here? All this led to an experience I wasn't quite expecting, but I definitely enjoyed more. It was a different direction than what we were used to, but something I feel would be needed after the high-octane first season. There were still twists and turns, but not in the way that you would think. The reveal, for example, was pretty fucking obvious for anyone paying attention, but the manner in which it was done I think caught everyone off guard, leading to a brilliantly executed scene. And the One Titan fight scene didn't just turn out to be a fast and intense flurry of blows, but a slower pace and one of the most technical animated fights I've seen. Any fans of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu will get an absolute hard-on for this sequence, as it felt like watching an MMA fight at points. I would absolutely love to analyze this in full depth if I had the time, but it's definitely my favorite fight of this franchise so far. Regardless of all this though, I think I've been enjoying this season so much more because of the lack of hype surrounding it. Even after all the praise I've given this season, I don't think it's exceptionally stand out in any given area. Mystery, horror, character development, the lot, and it's still brimming with flaws. But with the much more muted reception it's gotten, I was just allowed to enjoy it for what it is. Attack on Titan is just a very solid show, and always was. No masterpiece by any means, but still highly enjoyable. And I guess that's the advantage with less hype, when every little moment isn't being memed, each intricate detail being dismantled and analysed over and over, because no matter how fond you are for a series, there will reach a point when you'll get bored hearing about it, discussing the same points again and again with different people, seeing the same jokes passed around. As whether or not Attack on Titan was overrated is debatable, whether or not it was overhyped was unquestionable. But I think this muted reception can be easily linked to how our community receives new anime this day and age, or at least how many new anime we watch. In its current climate, we are seeing new seasons being announced very soon after they first ended, or bizarrely having very old shows being resurrected out of nowhere. Attack on Titan didn't sit in either of these camps, and I think this shows how important it is to keep momentum going in the world of anime. On a technical standpoint, it did well to feel like no time had passed at all. Art and music were kept pretty constant from the first season. We didn't get any subtle shifts as we often see with other shows when there's a massive time gap between seasons, like Haruhi for example, where the designs shifted to become slightly more chaonified. Saono's soundtrack has also been very similar to his previous work, only subtly adding bits and pieces here and there. So from a production standpoint, it honestly looks and feels like we've just carried straight on where we left off 4 years ago. But that's the thing. It was 4 years ago. As an anime community, we just move on very fast. Any show, no matter how hot, will be largely old news in a matter of months when the next season rolls around, let alone the years we had to wait for Attack on Titan. We don't see this rise in popularity season to season in the same way we see with Western shows like Breaking Bad or with the Game of Thrones of today. In fact, it's the opposite. A series will rarely continue rising in popularity per season unless we have some kind of long-running shonen that is ongoing without breaks. And I don't think there's a better candidate to illustrate this than what we've seen with Attack on Titan. And because of this, I think the show is the perfect case study for how hype affects the perception of a show and how quickly we move on as a community. In the end, the biggest thing this season has going against it, aside from the 4-year wait, was its 12-episode run. It's done what it needed to do, but there aren't enough episodes to build up to a proper climactic payoff. So it baffles me with the thinking behind giving one of the hottest anime properties of all time just 12 episodes to stamp back its momentum. God knows how long we'll have to wait to see if we'll get a continuation, so if viewers hadn't converted to the manga already, I'm sure this short season will convert even more people to. Which is a shame, because after all this, it's reminded me how enjoyable the Attack on Titan train can be. The season is far from perfect, but it's definitely a solid entry, suffering from having a long wait to see a middle child trying its best to build up to something bigger, which still remains to be seen if or when it happens. It was a pleasant change to what I was expecting, and I'm not sure everyone would have appreciated it, but with only this short season, it might ultimately not even mean much. But either way, I enjoyed it regardless. Now let's just hope it doesn't join the likes of Spice and Wolf and Haruhi for that growing list of shows that I, as an anime fan, have just come to accept now that I'll just never be able to see a season 3 of. I'm not crying, you're crying! Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much this month to the Mouse Potatoes, Sam Woo, Basil, Lee Watts, Junie Hime, and everyone else on Patreon for helping to support me for this month and making this video possible. And I was just told by coincidence that Bookwalker are having a 50% off deal for Attack on Titan manga till the 20th of June as well, so yeah, that's the thing, you know the deal. A lot of you did ask for them, so if you want the t-shirts, you can get them in the links in the description or the annotations below. Man, I'm just out shilling Jeff today, aren't I? Well, I do need all that spare cash for all the figurines I'm going to be buying at AX. Anyway, that's it from me. I've been Giguk, and I'll see you all next time.